Hey guys, happy weekend and happy new month. Welcome to August. Wow, how time flies. Oh my god. Just just look at that. January is gone, February, March, April, May, June, July. And gradually August is going as well. But in all, we thank the Lord for the privilege to be alive. We are so grateful for another opportunity to be here again. Welcome back to Ginseng Matters with Roy. Still your favorite YouTube channel where you can learn, relearn, and unlearn from different aspects of life. And if you have been following, you've been connecting with us for some time now, you discover we've been having series of discussions on marriage life, before marriage, during, just before wedding, and after wedding. And the last episode was about wives and mothers. Very interesting discussion. If you missed it, don't worry. You can always check the replay on JC Matters with Roy YouTube channel. And today we have a continuation. And oh my God, I really look forward to the discussion today because I know it's going to be an interesting session again. Today we'll be having a discussion on husbands and fathers. So, if you have anybody that you know will also benefit greatly from the discussion today, don't hesitate to tell them, send a message, share this video with them, let them know that we are live. Yeah, and our guests are here already. Thank you very much, Dr. and Dr. Mrs. Balaji, for always making out time to join us on the platform. Thank you very much for always being there to share your experiences with us. We really appreciate it, and we thank the Lord for your lives. We pray that the Lord will continue to bless your home and your marriage in Jesus' name. Amen. So,
Amen.
everybody, join me in welcoming them once again on the platform today for today's episode. All right, welcome, Sir and Ma. And for the privilege of people who don't know you, people who will be watching you for the first time today, kindly introduce yourselves and tell us any other thing you would like people to know about you.
Okay. Good day, everyone. We appreciate God for the opportunity to be on here together with you and to be sharing and joining our friends to say one or two things and see where this discussion leads to. My name is Folabolaji, and here is my wife Bumi. We are both resided. We are both living in US now. We are from Nigeria, and we are computer specialists, and we are trying our best to do good. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much, Sir and Ma. Wow, guys, you are meeting computer gurus. Oh my God. Wow, thank you very much for that brief introduction. And without wasting much of our time, let's just dive into the discussion right away. So, like we had our last episode, which was on wives and mothers, today we are focusing on husbands and fathers. And I believe it's going to be an interesting one as well. So, now, oh, okay. I thought we just lost them. All right. So, straight to the discussion on husbands and fathers. So, like, we have issues with mothers, with wives having conflicts with their mother-in-laws. So, also we have the same issues with husbands and their fathers. It's very easy for husbands to be really, really greatly attached to their fathers. The same way mothers are, the same way wives are always attached to their moms. We have husbands like that who also are greatly attached to their fathers. And then they beginning their own journey. They starting their marital journey. They find it difficult to detach from their dads, always looking forward. This is my dad, is my model. he's my role model, is everything he does, then I think I should be able to do the same way. Of course, it is not wrong. But then you having your own family, you having your own life to live, and you now using the same way, the same method to rule your own immediate family, your own nuclear family, and using the same style and method with your wife who is coming from a different and total in a different background totally. Now, the first question now is, how do we manage this kind of conflicts where we have husbands trying to rule, or no, trying to manage their homes the same way the same way they were being brought up from their own families.
Okay. Thank you so much for this opportunity to share. Husbands and fathers may be a little tough because we are not talking about husband and father-in-law, or wives and father-in-law, or something of that nature.
Mm.
So, but this is fine. And this is what has been replicated over time. We have seen many families getting into trouble because of their background, because of the way the man was raised. And to be sincere, one of the major problems or major troubles we have in the world today is because many people were not well trained by their fathers. Many so called husbands did not get proper discipleship or proper tutoring or proper mentoring by their fathers. So we have so many, like we have baby mamas, we have baby fathers, fathers that have not learned, fathers that have not understood how family should be structured, fathers that have not understood how a woman should be taken care of. So there are many fathers now that are not well properly trained. And the reality is most times fathers usually think about how do I provide for my home. I mean responsible fathers. So most times fathers are not sit at home daddies. In fact, in many families, we have people that they only see their dads during the weekends. The dad walks away from home and he comes home during the weekends. So this is rubbing on the son as he's growing up too. Probably he may be envisioning himself living like his dad, looking for a job that is away from the family, so that he will also be coming on weekends. So those are the things that happens, and eventually, if care is not taken to let the son or the father to be or the newest father to know that this may not be the ideal thing, that may lead to a lot of problems. So how do we handle this kind of problems? Now, one of the major thing I see is don't you want to make contribution before
No, I want to ask. I think you're jumping. Like, I want you to talk about examples of problems that can happen. Yeah, what are those examples of problems that can come up that we can know how to address them?
Okay, so the example of problems that may come up varies, and there are so many of them. But let me come with the ones I remember. If you are talking about the financial management, for example, some guys will be like, "My father used to give our mom the money for stew, the money to make food
The woman.
on a weekly basis," and growing up under that situation, I may want to say, "Oh, that doesn't happen. That did not happen in my family anyway." But it happened partly, let's say 50% and not 50%. My mom was working, and she has access to fund if she wants to use. But sometimes she asked my father, "Okay, we need this." They plan together and the budget together. They did their budgeting together, and that was helpful for them. But what I'm trying to say is, I've seen situations where the mother cannot do anything except she takes from the dad. And in this age, a man may want to say, like, "Oh, I'm the one that will dictate what will happen. I'm the one that will give you money weekly to prepare food. I'm the one that will give you money monthly, that you don't have access, you don't have authority on any money. Even if you are honey, you cannot even spend it on yourself. We have seen men that want to do so. Such things will usually cause problems. We have another example is fathers that don't stay at home in the evening. In the evening time, they believe that I need to go and spend time with my friends. We need to go and play some games. We need to go and gist. Some even goes to the bar and all those kind of things, and they will come home late at night. And when they are coming in late at night, they are not even useful to their families. The children are not having time with their dads in the evenings. So those are different kind of father, and those are the kind of examples that those are kind of
Can
problems
lead
that
to
we have.
problems.
So then another situation is traveling fathers. They may be away for 1 month, for 2 months, for 3 months. I've even seen situation that the father will come home, let's say twice in a year. So these all of these things are creating gaps in the family and even in the life of the sons in the family because they are being raised to know that fathers are supposed to be absentee fathers. And if care is not taken, then that guy will grow up like that, having that same mentality. And sometimes, if the wife is doing something or going to the extreme, you'll be like, oh, it's not your fault. It's because I'm sitting down with you at home. If I've been showing on once in a while, like my dad used to be, or maybe like your dad used to do, then maybe this problem will not have come. So those are the problems that we have. But before I begin to talk about solution, let me see from my wife's perspective, what are the problems that you also envisage?
Okay, thank you. Actually, when I saw this topic, husbands um and fathers, I'm like, do they actually have a problem? But when we began to talk about this perspective, we are begin to look at situations where most of the problems we have in the home is because some fathers were actually absent or didn't give the best example. And I want to say that it is not just about husbands. I think they have established it in psychology, and I've read it quite a few times that girls get their identity from their fathers. Like most girls, when their dad make them know that you're so beautiful, they are not intimidated by other men. They are not looking for somebody to tell them you are beautiful. So when a father is absent, it is not only affecting the child, or when the father is not doing all that he's supposed to be doing as a father or living a good example, it is not only affecting the son, it is also affecting the daughter. And it's going to affect how that daughter is going to relate in even in her own husband's house or with her father-in-law. So I think the place of the fathers cannot be looked at lightly, like it is just about provision. And I think most men are locked into the provision circle that they don't consider other things that they are meant to be doing for their families. Like when you were giving examples, I just remember that traditionally, some people, fathers are just like, oh, money for tuition, I'll pay. They need the kids need books, I'll do it. Every other thing, go and meet your mother. So in that case, the son might learn that once I give them, like I pay my children's tuition, I do this and that. And in this day and age, when things have really changed, all those other things can even be more expensive than these, just paying tuition and buying books. And eventually the wife is not able to undo what the family needs, and that will always cause conflicts. Then I also look at a situation where some sons became who they are now because they don't want to replay what their fathers did, but they eventually do it the wrong way. By, for example, let's assume that my dad is an absentee father, and I don't want that. So because I'm a son now, I insist, I want to be with my family always and stuff like that. And situations come that maybe my wife is supposed to get another job elsewhere, or maybe I'm supposed to, like, something different just came. Instead of being able to communicate and attack the situation in a friendly manner, this person might come in so much of an aggressive way that will eventually be like, what is the big deal in this? And the aggression is because of the background that the son grew up in. So I would just say the place of the father is very important in determining the future generation as well, not just the mother. Like we emphasize the mother's role a lot, but the father's role is quite important as well.
Wow. Thank you very much, sir and ma. When Bro Fola was when he started with the issue of the it's in two parts. We have husbands and their fathers, and then we also have the wives and their father-in-laws. Is actually in two parts. Now, the issue of husbands and their fathers, husbands making their fathers as a role model, which is good, but like I said earlier, that they're trying to bring the same way their dads related with their moms and bring it into their own homes. And for example, I know of a family like that where the husband will tell the wife, "Oh, I know my dad. When my dad and my mom when they have a conflict, when they have a quarrel, a misunderstanding, I know how my mom will kneel down and start begging him, and all manner of that." And the wife is like, "For me, I've never seen a situation like that in my own house where I'm coming from. My dad and my mom, they also have their own issues, but I've never seen them like that. Possibly, I don't know the way they settle their own quarrels, but these kind of situations can really cause a lot of misunderstanding in homes when you're trying to when you're trying to compare your wife, when you're trying to compare the way your dad relates with your mom, and you're comparing your wife the same way. It can really be conflicting, let alone maybe later we're going to talk about father-in-laws and wives. But in the meantime, let's still continue. Let's continue the discussion about fathers and husbands.
Yeah. So I also want to bring in a point that may be very important. There have been situations where a son grew up in a home where the father beats the mother.
Mm.
Whenever there's an issue, the father will just go and take birth or do something, or the father may be abusing the mom, even in the presence of other people or in the presence of the children. So a man indirectly or unconsciously can grow up to become such a father that wants to be domineering over the wife, that want to dictate whatsoever the wife should do, or that want to beat the wife as well. And there have been situations where I've seen it, where the mom and dad divorce, and eventually the son grew up to be a man that will also divorce his wife. So there have been so many situations like that. There have been so many fractures in families. And because in places where the father had been the dictator, we have seen situation where the father was not keeping just to the mom, was keeping some other side girls, side chicks, right? So and then the man will grow up to be like that and be like, oh, now I understand. My father was keeping side chicks. Maybe these are the reasons why he was doing it. Let me also do it. Different kind of things like that, different kind of problems like that. But now we are talking about matured men. Men that will be married should be matured. Now, the reason why most of us are sent to school, the reason why most of us were sponsored to go to high school, to go to colleges, is because our parents want us to have our own mind, to be able to make decisions on our own. And if you are schooled, well schooled, then your mind should have been transformed and you should be able to judge situation. So there are some things, for example, there are some things that my mom can do for my dad or that she is doing for my dad. My home mom, for example, will set the table for my dad in the morning and let him know that the food is ready, that the food is already on the dining because she may be rushing to work or doing some other things. And in the afternoon, the same thing. In the evening, the same thing. And there are different treatments like taking water to the bathroom hot water for the to the bathroom, or putting it somewhere where my father can easily access it and things like that. So when we got married, I expected the same kind of responsibility for my wife to set food for me, to set hot water for me, to take my bed in the morning and things like that. And when we just got married and she was able to do that, along the line, she began to have career shifts. When that career shift requires that she can just make arrangement for the food and put it in the refrigerator. And if I need the food, I should go into the refrigerator, serve myself, or warm it up, put it in microwave, and make myself okay. I figured it out that I had to do that. I could not insist that no, the way you have always been doing. That's the same way my mother was treating my father. You have to set it on the table. And you have to rush home in the afternoon and set my food on the table. No. There has to be a mature mind that can make decision on, okay, this was my father's situation. This is my own situation. Do I need to approach it the same way or approach it from a different angle? And that is the reason why we are talking about minds that are developed becoming fathers, becoming son. So we need to be able to adjust and say, okay, for me, I've picked several things from my father, several things. And there are some of them that I felt like, oh, my father did this. No, this is not going to work for me. I'm not going to follow that. We may even have discussed it that why are you not there? I will like, no, 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 daddy. Well, I have my own reasons, and he respected my own decisions and my meetings. There have been times that my father had discussed with my wife that, oh, how is it? How are you handling this? How are you handling that? And she will tell my father my position. And if it's my position, then my father does not query it. He doesn't even question it most of the time. So what I'm trying to say is every man should be developed, should be matured in such a way that you'll be able to sieve and you'll be able to filter what you can pick, the good things you can pick from your father, and the good things you can pick from many other fathers. So I have my biological father, and he influenced my life in a great way because I've seen many positive things about him, and I followed suit. I followed his way of life. I followed his lifestyle and all those things. For example, my father does not drink, and I've not had any reason to drink. My father does not smoke. I've not seen it. I've not seen any reason to smoke. My father does not womanize. She has so many female friends, but she doesn't womanize. I've seen a reason in him that if he's able to raise a peaceful family, then I don't also need to go and womanize. So he has laid many examples in time past, and I've picked from those examples. Now, there are some other things that he does that are not fitting into my own lifestyle. My father is very hardworking and very hardworking. At some point, my father was farming and he introduced us to farming. Farming was not my way. I was I could not handle it. My father can do a lot of things domestically. For example, while growing up, my father washes the restroom, the toilet. My father washes it. That is his. He does it like religiously. We make sure the toilet, all the toilets we have in the house, in our house, he makes sure they are clean. He makes sure he maintains them. I tried it while growing up. I failed sometimes or many times. And it was my wife that was doing doing that. But there are so many other things that I also do in the house that my wife is not doing. So I'm just trying to lay different kind of examples, and so there are so many things that you pick from your father. There are so many things as a matured man that you feel like, oh no, I'm not going to use this. It's not working for me. And it may not even be in the best interest of my wife. My father married my mom. I married my own wife. My wife's background is different. My mom's background is different. So I pick good things that I can pick from my dad, biological dad. Now, and I have so many other dads that I look up to. Maybe dad that I know at work, maybe dads that I know from church, and different dads that I've had the opportunity of interacting with. You know, at some level, you may have the opportunity of interacting with some other people and be open to them, even much more than you'll be open to your dad, because there are some things that you feel like, "Ah, how do I discuss this thing with my dad?" But you may be free to discuss it with outsiders. Some could even be pastors. So there is the opportunity of learning from other fathers. So that is one of the major solution I see to the problem of wanting to live exactly like your dad and his causing problems.
Oh, well, the point that I want to make is I'm thinking of situations where people repeat the errors their parents made, not really because they want to do it, but a part of it can just be genetical or like something that is like a stronghold for them. For example, situation like the situation that you gave about the father divorced, the grandfather divorced, like situations like that. It can be that they actually don't have a kind of education which can handle their homes, but sometimes
Could be
such
spiritual forces too.
it could be, but sometimes it is not. I don't want to shift it completely to spiritual, but sometimes it can just be how they continue to get raised and they are not properly raised. I don't know how best to present it. But I think the example, a solution that you gave is very important, and that is that it is good that your father is your role model, but your father should not be your only role model because wisdom is like nobody is all wise. So you become a better person when you go beyond just following what your father did to head on, like this is how my daddy does it and this is how we do it. But I also want to look at the aspect of prayers as well, and sometimes this can need the wife's support because there are so many things that we just, oh, he's just not serious, or he's just lazy. Maybe in their family it is just a pattern that the husband works for a time, loses his job, and before you know it, the father in the house is not really responsible. So sometimes it can be something to take up as prayer matters, or it can even be just that their eyes will be open to what the problem really is. Because until we understand what a problem is, getting a solution for it can be a little difficult. But I look at prayer as a solution and communication as well. And there's a point that you raised that is very important for me, and that is the place of education. I think the more education we have, the better we should be at making decisions. So if my dad does not travel a lot, he's a teacher, he's just like in the local community, and I have traveled far and wide, I have met people, I should be better because I have better exposure and education. So I think our education should reflect in the way we run our lives. It should help us to make better informed decisions. So, in the light of that, I would say you can also get good books, good books that talks about fatherhood, responsibility of a father, how to raise sons. Several materials are outside like that that we can gain wisdom from.
Wow. Thank you very much, sir and ma. So, to all our viewers out there, there is a link through which you can call in and contribute to the discussion. You can also ask your questions concerning the discussion we are having presently. So, just check in the comment section for the link and you'll be you'll be able to join in the conversation live. Yeah, so while we wait for our viewers to call in and join in the conversation, many people think that being a father is no longer necessary or relevant. However, a husband and a father can significantly impact his family, like Bro Fola initially shared with us, and the society by making use of the talents and abilities God has endowed them with. So, on this note, I'll like us to discuss on the relationship, to discuss about the relationship between wives and their father in laws. There are situations when Possibly the father-in-law will just come around, pay a visit to to their son, and of course not just the son, the wife is there as well. And then when he's around, he's observing and see the way things are going. And most times father-in-laws too will be like, I know the way I trained my son. Yeah, I know I was a very good dad to my son. And seeing what is going around, maybe like Brofola shared that, okay, maybe the husband happens to be washing the toilet, and the father-in-law is like, oh, so you, what are you doing? Your husband is the one washing the toilet. Why? It shouldn't be that. It shouldn't be that way. No, 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 no. And the wife is trying to be courteous, is trying to be respectful, and the wife is like, Daddy, that's the way we do things in our own home. That's the way and the wife might not want to like respond directly to the father-in-law. So in a situation like this, the relationship between the father-in-law and the wife, how should it be managed, especially considering the wife?
As you are narrating those, I was thinking about different extremes, different extremes, and they have happened. We have seen father-in-law that sexually assaulted the wife. We have seen father-in-law that it was not even assault; it was an arrangement between the wife and the father-in-law. We have even seen father-in-laws that was the one that imposed the wife on the husband, on the son. So there have been different extremes, and so when you are talking about it, I was like, there are some families that the son even knows that the father is a wolf, so he will not even want the father to visit visit his home or have interaction with the wife.
Oh my
There have been
god.
different there have been different extremes and things like that. But one thing that
Those are not Christian
Yeah,
fathers, right?
I think I've seen a movie like that where the father-in-law was actually harassing the wife. Yes.
so now, even in Christian home, we have seen situation that even if it's not in terms of sexual assault or bad relationship, we have father imposing the kind of wife or the person the son should marry. The
Mhm.
father will have made agreement with maybe his friend or
Mm.
somebody somewhere, or maybe the father
Betrayal.
is even maybe the father is even a pastor. I say, no, you cannot marry that person. I have a sister, I have this somebody from this family that you have to marry.
Oh my
So
god.
different kind of things like that. So some fathers raise their sons, but yet they don't want their sons to make their decisions by themselves. And now, in terms of relationship with the with the wife and father-in-law, this should be respected, really, really respected. And this responsibility will fall more on the wife. Find it as a responsibility or as a task to have a good relationship with your father-in-law. Your father-in-law know his son very well. He know his weaknesses, he know his strengths. He knows how he knows how he can you can cajole him. You know all of those things. And your father-in-law has the interest of your family. He will not want your family to separate or to scatter. So he will definitely be giving you honest advice, honest counsel. That doesn't mean that you should follow it 100%. It may not work most of the time 100%. But having good relationship with the father-in-law is very, 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 very good. And even if there are some extremes where the husband is misbehaving or is already making wrong decisions or is going wayward or going astray, you can always reach out to the father-in-law that this is what I'm noticing with my husband, that can you help us out or something of that nature. Because some people will prefer it to be within the family than for you to quickly begin to expose all the problems and say, hey, come and call my husband to order and something of that nature. That is another good side. Then another thing I want to point out, even for husband, is still respect your wife. Show or the way you carry your wife is the same way she will be treated. Even when you are talking to your father when you're talking to your families, there is no time, most of the time when we give something to my parents or to my father, I will let him know that this is from me and my wife. So it's not as if I'm giving something to you in secret that my wife does not know about. If my father is showing appreciation, it will be like, okay, he will be saying, showing appreciation to me and my wife. Thank you both for doing this for us. And there have been, let me just digress, there have been things that we have done for my mother-in-law because my father-in-law is late. That my mother-in-law will be saying that, oh, I give more appreciation to the husband. If the husband does not allow my child or my daughter to think about me, she will not be able to do things and things like this. So it's very, very important for a wife to have relationship with the father-in-law, for a son or for a husband to have relationship with the mother-in-law and father-in-law. And at the same time, the father should not be the one ruling the family. That is the father of the son or the father of the husband should not be the one ruling the family. I've seen situation, I've had encounter with a family that everything that is happening, the husband was reporting to the father. This is what is happening. This is what is happening. The father will now say, okay, take this step. Tell your wife to come and see me. Take this step. Take this step. So the boy or the husband could not even manage the home. At the end of the day, the home is no more today.
Mm.
So the if you raise your son properly, you don't need to be the one to rule his house anymore. He should be able to rule his own house, and he can then take counsels from you. These counsels could be followed and could be ignored, but you should allow your children to take counsels and to make their own decisions.
Wow.
Yes. I am thinking that in most cases where father-in-laws have problems with their wives, it's usually when something is very wrong. Like the example that Rafola gave, like it's usually with fathers that are not exemplary fathers. Because most of the time, I think fathers usually keep their opinions to themselves. Like um, they are not usually source of conflicts like mothers are. And that is because, for example, if my father-in-law comes to visit us, he will not come to the kitchen. He will, like, it is what you serve him. He just, daddy, your food is ready, he will eat. Most of the time fathers are like that. Like, sometimes people don't even like father-in-laws coming or their father coming because they know that daddy will just sit in his sitting room watching movies. Like, even if the baby is crying, daddy does not know that something's happening in the house. So most of the time fathers are usually very peaceful and pleasant to have around because they are just they are and they are just into some other things that it's not very domestic. So reasons for conflicts will not be a lot. But then in cases of father-in-laws that can be no, well, some people I don't want to use the word troublesome, but cases of father-in-laws that will be like, why did you do this way? Why didn't your husband do this? And situations like that. I think like Brofola said, the first thing I think will work is just always show respect, no matter what. Your father-in-law is your father. So no matter what, like if it is even an abusive father-in-law, because especially in I don't know how to say, like local setting, local community, the father-in-law can start abusing and be saying, you are dirty, you are not serious, see how you did this, see how you are carrying this child, see how you are. For cases of fathers like that, the wife should just maintain respect no matter what happens. Like if your dad is abusing you or beating you, you won't say, daddy, I will beat you back. So with your father-in-law, it should also be absolute respect, sorry daddy, and then you and your husband will find a way of addressing the issues. Like, you want to say something?
Yeah,
Something is jumping at you.
I just remember that actually this topic is very, very important and
Because we actually don't look at it.
exactly.
Yeah.
See, as she was talking, I remember something. Most of the time when we are on here and when we are having this kind of meeting, it's rare for you to see me doing like this, or to see me doing like this, and things like that. And these are the things that should be normal between husband and wife. But now I thought about it that I've
Yeah,
not
because
seen
in
my
your family
father
it is not holding
doing
weight.
that
Yeah.
in the public or doing that kind of.
Oh
So
my god.
unconsciously, that has settled into me that you don't see me holding my wife doing oh let's so this thing is very important as laughingly or as funny
Jokingly.
or jokingly that this may sound. That is the same way we are impacted on major decisions.
Mhm.
Because the way our fathers live their lives rubbed so much on us, even unconsciously, we are doing the same thing, and it's not as if we planned it. So it's very important for every father or for every husband to check himself, to evaluate where he's coming from, to evaluate where he is now, what is the present situation, and where you are you targeting to reach. One other example I may want to bring is I don't know if some other people want to make comments, but let me quickly chip in these 2 points. One of our sisters just made a comment, and that comment made me remember certain things. My father gave us this opportunity that we can go to our friend's house, we can go to his friend's house, we can learn from their fathers, we can learn their spiritual ways, we can learn their dealings, we can learn their business, and come home to come and challenge him. Yeah, we can get home and begin to talk to daddy. I saw daddy is like Baja doing this. And he will explain to us the reason why he could not do what daddy Lagbaja is doing, and the reason why God has different arrangement and different destiny for each person. For example, my father does not do. He did business at some point in time as a carpenter. He has a carpentry workshop sometimes, and eventually, because he's not the kind of person that can pursue people when they don't pay, he just abandoned that kind of business. So when I wanted to start business, my father was like
Reluctant.
anti-business.
Yeah.
He was reluctant to support me. He would have loved it. Oh, why don't you just do the normal government work and things like that? He was so reluctant. And eventually, when I started it and he saw that I was determined, and then he supported me. So many of these things, a good father should be able to raise the son in such a way that the son can learn from other people. The son should be able to challenge him and ask questions. It's not as if I've said it and that is it. You cannot ask questions. You can no, it should not be. But there are so many things that we can unconsciously pick from our parents. And it's very important for a husband to check it very well. That even if this thing was good for my dad, is it good for the wife I've just married? Is it good for the kind of children I'm raising? Is it even good for the geographical location where I find myself?
Mm.
Those are the things that a husband needs to check in terms of relationship with his dad.
Wow. Thank you very, very much. So, wow, we have a comment from Sister Oluwatoba Durudola. She said, that the Adeshola Bolaji is such an exemplary father. Those fathers do fatherhood effortlessly and made it really exciting. Thank you very much, Ma, for joining us on the platform today. Thanks for your contribution. Thanks to everyone. So if you would like to ask a question or two, or you want to contribute to the conversation live, you can just call in through the link in the comment section. It's really been an interesting one. Oh my god, it's really been an interesting one. And yeah, one other thing I would like to say is about in-laws, but I think that will be maybe our next topic of discussion. You know, so, husbands having issues with their mother-in-laws, not just mothers, not just wives having issues with their mother-in-laws, but also husbands too have issues with
Yeah.
their mother-in-laws. So, like, we just discussed today about wives having issues with their father-in-laws. Yeah, the next discussion will be something will be just husbands and mother-in-laws. I think that would be an interesting topic of discussion. So I would like to hear from our viewers out there. Call in, let's know what you think about the topic of discussion today. What do you think? Uh should husbands always pattern their entire life just after their dads, or should they adjust? How can they adjust? Let's hear from you. We'd like to hear from you, our viewers out there. So while we wait for our viewers out there to contribute to calling, um, I would like to ask let's something our viewers can take home from today's discussion as we bring the conversation to a close.
So, if I may start with what I want to give, I will say that God created us all into our individual families. We didn't have the opportunity to choose that I want to belong to this father or I want to belong to this family. So, if God has created you in the family and you have a kind of father, then that is the purpose of God for you, and that's the plan of God for you. God intentionally created you there so that you can get through that family. And if you get through that family, it means that there are some good things that you can pick from that family. That family and that father was used to shape your life and to shape who you grew up to be, whether for good or for bad. Now that you are well grown and you are a husband, then you have the right to decide, do I want to continue with this pattern? Do I want to improve on it? Do I want to maintain it? Or do I want to totally digress from this pattern? So it is the responsibility of every man to decide the pattern he wants to use in relating with his wife, in raising his children, and the likes. Like, for example, let me give you this illustration before I round up. My father studied in the US, he had his first degree and master's in the US, came back to Nigeria, and he was living in a city called Ibadan. My father felt Ibadan is a big city. I want to raise my family in a quiet neighborhood so that my children will not live the city life. And it took every one of his children to the quiet neighborhood of Oyo town. Oyo is a town, not a big city like Ibadan. Because he felt he's a church man, he's a religious man. I want my children to grow up in an environment that they will not be widely influenced. That is his own pattern. That is his own lifestyle. And we grew up under that pattern. When I was growing up, I was almost following that pattern.
Mm.
At some point in my life, I needed to evaluate, is it the best for my family or is it the best thing for me? And with prayer and decisions with my wife, then we discovered that it may be good for us to explore the city life. It may be good for us to make a shift. So what I'm trying to say in essence is, as you as a man, don't be afraid to digress from the pattern your father raised you in. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be like, oh, because my father did it that way, then it must be that way. I remember having to meet with some parents back in Nigeria. Their children want to go outside the country, want to study abroad, and they are not really supporting. And the children were close to us, so we had to go and meet the parents to convince them that allow these children to go and let them explore. And the father told us that all these investments, we have made this investment so that these children can manage these investments. And that is one of the major reasons why the father did not want the children to go outside the country. So we needed to tell him that these are good plans, but allow these children to also fulfill their destinies. You have great plans for them, The plans you have for them may be little compared to the plan God has for them. We thank God today, all of those children are in different places. Canada, different places, and the family did not regret that decision. So that is the take home point for me.
Thank you very much, sir.
For me, the take home will be a better version of your father. Like, no matter who your father is,
Wow.
that's not the worst person. So be a better version of your father. I think that is going to help us have a better world, better families.
Exactly. Wow. I love that. Wow, it's been an interesting session today. I really enjoy every part of the discussion today. Every bit of discussion today was something new, something interesting, something practical that if we can if we can apply this knowledge in our various homes, it's going to really, really help each and every one of us. Okay, so we have another comment here. It's a very good, insightful sharing here today. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's a decision of every man to determine how they want their home to be structured, but it must be based on kingdom structure. And we can't but say there are things to learn from our fathers, most especially those that live godly ways. We can pick one or two things from them. Thank you so much. Thank you for your contribution. I agree with that. And like Sister Bumi said, ensure to be a better version of your dad. And with this, we are going to bring today's discussion to a close. Thank you very much to everyone that joined us through one means or the other. Thank you so much for your support, for your contributions, for the comments, for the likes, and everything. Thank you very much. God bless you. And so, our guests, Dr. and Dr. Mrs. Balaji, thank you very much for joining us. So, to all our viewers out there, it's still.
I thought it should be bro for land, Sister Bumi.
Well. We still would like to call you Doctor and Doctor Mrs. Bolaji.
Thank you so much. We
We
appreciate
appreciate the
this.
opportunity.
Thank you very much, sir and ma. So to all our viewers out there too, come your way again. Stay tuned and keep watching Say Matters. Wait, Roy. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.